Hey, welcome to Challenge Accepted, the podcast where we challenge each other to watch a different show or movie every week. I am Frank, and I'm joined by Thomas.
Hello, everybody. Get ready to be bewitched.
Today, we are going to be starting our adventure down the Witch's Road. We are watching Agatha All Along. We have the first 2 episodes for you today. Let's get those initial impressions out right now. I am stoked for this series and did not expect it. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so stoked for it. What did you think?
100%. Came in with such low expectations. I'm like, I'm just here to have a good time, get into the Halloween spirit, and this show well delivered beyond that. It's just fun. Like, that's the word that keeps popping up in my head.
Yes. I can't believe how good these actors work together. That's one of the things, right? It's like, yeah, they're all good actors, but the way they're working together is just like Parks and Rec season 7 kind of stuff, right? They already have that repertoire you expect, and I'm really excited for that. I had to say that just because I've been watching the red carpet and we saw Aubrey Plaza next to Kathryn Hahn, and then here comes Amy Poehler and Adam Scott. And I was like, oh, it's a little mini reunion. That's so cool.
Yep. I know. That was so awesome. I didn't see them when I was kind of swinging by. So that was just cool. Like, yeah, I love that they're still actually friends, and that out of all the places to them all be together for a Disney Plus show and a Marvel show on top of that is just so random, but I love it. It's just, and the vibe carries through to the show, I feel like.
Absolutely does. Yeah. There's a mix of like camp and horror and humor and mature tones. It's a really, I've heard some people who have a problem already with the show is the fact that it's like, oh, it's switching too fast. To me, it doesn't feel like that. To me, it feels like an even sway kind of going back and forth.
100%. Yeah. I feel like it's really well paced. You know, it's moving, it's fun. It gives you the WandaVision vibe, starting out, and we'll break it down in a second, but it feels like WandaVision. And then all of a sudden it moves into like, why am I going to care about Agatha? I then do. And then she is assembling her own Avengers in a sense to get their powers back. So it's cool. I love the pacing.
And on that, before we get to the breakdown, I do like that Agatha is not just the hero now. She is a villain. Like we learn right off the bat, she is all about herself. And it's good that they kept that, because I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, if they were going to do that. And it feels like they are. And so we got to really lean on this ensemble cast to keep her on the road. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and get into that breakdown. And I'm getting my timer that I forgot. Here it is. All right, ready when you are.
All right, so we start off with episode 1, Seekest Thou the Road? Agatha, initially seen as Agnes, is investigating a murder very much like Mayor of Easttown, with a little bit of True Detective in there. But we hear her humming a car. She then arrives at a crime scene and she discovers a body with a hoodie, and there's some very kind of familiar looking hair. And then Agnes is trying to work the case with an FBI agent that shows up, which is Rio Vidal, played by Aubrey Plaza. That banter is already fantastic. And it's a hint to Agnes's true identity. And they also seem like they have a complicated past. Their interaction reveals that Agnes is under a trance. She kind of like rips out of it. And we see a lot of her old self from WandaVision, which I just love that callback. There is then like a noise upstairs that leads Agnes to confront a mystery team who seems like they are trying to steal something. She captures him, and then reality kind of distorts around her, but she manages to this is after she captures him. She brings him in, and he's able to kind of wake her up from the trance. And then she sees that there's some clues linking back to Wanda Maximoff and the Darkhold. Now in episode 2, Circle Sewn with Fate unlock thy hidden gate. Couldn't say it because there's a rhyme. Agatha teams up with the team, aiming to ensemble her own coven and to aid in their mystical quest. They meet various witches, including a psychic and a healer, but face reluctant at hostility. The episode culminates in the formation of a coven. They perform that ritual performance and drop this epic song that opens the gate that leads to the magical path, or the witch's road. There are themes of deception, rediscovery of identity, and assembling a diverse team that marks their journey, promising more magical exploits ahead.
Yeah, definitely setting that up, right? Let's start right from the beginning again. And I'm glad you called it out, because I was like, this is important. They don't put this in without this meaning something. She's humming in her car. Did you put that in your notes?
No, I didn't catch it till I kind of like restarted it just because
Same.
I had time last night. So I just kind of restarted and watched it. And I was like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
And it's because of, it pops up in episode 2.
So I was like, okay, that's going to be important. Let's remember that. And then when they started doing the song at the end of the second episode, I started humming it because I was like, okay, I'm going to hum this and memorize this song right now. And then check the first song. And sure enough, it is the exact same one. So that's the Ballad of the Witch's Road, which you guys just heard in the intro of this episode. And the fact that she's humming it while she's in the trance means that it's kind of like we saw from WandaVision. She's in there. She's just trapped. And then that's a little bit of her escaping that little bit of like memory she has.
Right. I also love like her. Yeah, she is kind of trapped in that TV land, and her version of it is kind of like detective thriller is fun too. Because WandaVision, obviously sitcoms, and that was her comfort. But maybe Agatha is like murder cases and, Dahmer and that kind of stuff, right? So I love that. And then also like Wanda is still kind of attached to her mind. Because we see, the brooches in the water, but also the body. And I love the little nod-ins that they throw to WandaVision. Obviously, we get a lot of that same cast back, which was great.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a little bit of sediment from an Eastern European mountain.
Yep.
Very reminiscent of Wonder Gore. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like instantly ding. I was like, wow, they really are saying Wanda is dead from Multiverse of Madness. I don't know. Or at least in Agatha's mind, which I don't know how she would know that either.
And the dead body had black fingers, which is a Darkhold thing. And so it was like, oh man, that's Wanda right there. And then of course later on when we see her on the table, red hair, distinctively red hair. It's like, oh, okay, I see what they're going for here. It's such a cool thing. I mean, I love Mayor of Easttown. It's such a good series. Speaking of, so actually, good. Petrov is in both of those too. He's the other detective in Easttown.
That's I know. I thought about that too recently, and I'm like, dang, Evan Peters, man, he's kind of like a sleeper, amazing actor. Like he never comes up in it.
Yeah,
he's so good. Yep.
There are things where like she's kind of bothered by the body when she notices the black fingers. All kinds of little bit of Agatha poking through Agnes here, and before we even get started, we have the credits, the opening credits that you'd see in every like Netflix drama, and they're using the character names, not the actor names. And it is at the very end based off of the Dutch series WandaVision, Ike, or whatever it is. Like it's the Dutch of WandaVision. So it was like, oh man, she is fully in that trance still. If you didn't already know, there it is. Like it's like, oh, Norm. No, that's not that guy's name.
Or Herb, like Herb coming up in there. I thought that was great. Yeah. And like later on when she kind of gets out of the trance and she's naked and she's actually seeing everybody in real life. And she's just been like the town crazy lady for 3 years, just coming up and like playing out scenarios with them. And they're like, sure, Agnes. Yeah, you'll catch him one day kind of thing.
Right.
Or even her sitting behind the car. That's just like that workout band.
Loved that so much. Or she's even like, she's out of it. And she's even like setting up. She's like adjusting the mirror. She's like, this isn't a car.
Yeah, that's the thing with this show. It's like it's way funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
I mean, it's definitely funnier than WandaVision, and I appreciate that. She doesn't have the same trauma as Wanda, so her approach to life and her scenarios shouldn't be the same. And I think it's great what they're doing.
I kind of want to see like maybe a flashback of the future where we just see her walking around, like looking at the bushes, like, who's this dead body? And then like sitting there kind of like thinking sadly behind this like fake steering wheel that's her actually like exercise training wheel.
Yeah. Herb and Norm are like, what is she doing? Like,
And it's interesting that they don't want to even say her name with Wanda, right? It's like this curse that hit the town. And it's been 3 years since she's been trapped here. But he says only, I think, a few weeks or maybe a few days that she's been doing the True Detective thing. And so it would be nice to see what other shows she was in. Was she doing a Game of Thrones on the front lawn? Like, I would like to know.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, she's just like on a kid's scooter pretending it's a dragon or something like that.
And then we meet Aubrey Plaza as a detective or as an FBI agent. And then later on, she starts walking in. In my opinion, some clear sexual tension between those two. Did you get that?
Totally. Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely tensioning it. Just the way she even shows up later that night with the pizza. It definitely feels like, they were exes at some point, but they're trying to be friends. Right. And I just love the banter. Yeah, it was a lot of sexual tension, but also like Aubrey Plaza just has this vibe about her where everything kind of feels cool and a little bit sexy and a little bit like mysterious, and that she doesn't care. And she's fully delivering that here. But I liked her as like the FBI agent, kind of a reverse role of Burt Macklin. Like she's doing her own version.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, it was great. I think she adds so much to this show already.
I like how we watched WandaVision to prep for this, but I know it feels like in a way we also watched Parks and Rec to prep for this, and we also kind of watched Beetlejuice to prep for this. It's got like the same vibe throughout this whole last month, so we were ready for
this. Yeah, great call out. It is a mesh of all those things in a lot of ways. You're so right. Yeah,
the way that door opens to the floor, I'm like, oh, that's like them going into the afterlife and Beetlejuice. Okay.
Yeah, dude, nice, great connections.
I felt like I was such a detective when they're naming that book, and I'm like, okay, what does this book mean? I'm writing it down on my notes. Holy shit, it's Darkhold. Oh, I can't wait to tell Thomas about this. And then Agnes ruins it.
Yeah. I don't tell. I guess if you look at the name for who wrote that, it's Andrew Ugo. And if you mix those, which is an anagram, if you mix them around, it turns into Wondergore.
You smart bastard, you. I didn't think about that one. That's a good one.
I wish I could take credit for it, but I saw it somewhere online after. I was like, yeah, I'm going to say that in the pod.
Let's talk about the teen. So first off, the teen is the one that broke the curse, or the curse, I guess we say, the spell of the Scarlet Witch. Immediately shows how powerful the teen is. And you and me both talked about, I don't know if we did it on mic or off mic, how like the rumors are he is Wiccan, he's Billy. And I'm like, I don't think so. They wouldn't introduce Billy in this show. He's too big of a character. After these two episodes, no, that's Billy. That's no doubt Billy. Right. What do you think?
I mean, absolutely. He can't say his name, so there's still a curse over him. That's really interesting. Or at least Agnes can't hear it.
That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Totally. He kind of looks like him. He's not really wearing the colors per se, but the fact that his boyfriend calls, like there's little things here and there that kind of lead to that character. And I'm so on board. Like I love this. Joe Locke's killing it. Yeah. His banter between him and Kathryn Hahn, it's just perfect. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so much fun.
And then let's talk about I like how she could tell that she can't hear it. It's not that it's not being said. And so she tries to make sure that he doesn't say his name in front of anybody else either, because it's information she wouldn't have and they would over her. So always worried about that.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. That's why she kept calling him like my familiar Toto. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Never says Toto. I love that too. There's so many witch references throughout this whole thing. But yeah, so she does that. And then even in the car, when he tries to explain his backstory, it's muted out for her. Not like, so, okay. Who's doing this to Agnes? Is it Wanda? Because we have the M on his mouth, right? It could be Maximoff, or upside down M is a W for Wanda. It could be that. It could be Mephisto, which would be easy. The handwriting feels either very witch or very like devil's contract, What are your early theories on this?
I saw, because we posted it on Threads. I'm like, hey, that M over the mouth is a little sus. I don't want to be bringing up Mephisto so soon, but I'm leaning pretty much 100% into Mephisto. I think that, like, why would Wanda put a spell over her own kid? But I guess it's more over Agnes in a sense. But I don't know. I think we had talked about this in our WandaVision recap. Because of all the rumors and all the hype in WandaVision that Mephisto was showing up, if you knew that you had already cast him for another show, why wouldn't you just put it in your other witch show that has to deal with dark magic and the Darkhold? So I'm thinking Sacha Baron Cohen shows up in the finale of this show, and I think it's Mephisto.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually Aubrey. I would be surprised if Aubrey doesn't actually play a part as like Mephisto as well.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think it's pretty cool. There is a wizard from the original, I say original, but it was probably like the 80s or 90s with Wanda, her own kind of Scarlet Witch series, where she does meet another sorcerer that goes down the witch's road, and it's a green sorcerer. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if they're kind of like gender swapping that for Aubrey Plaza's character.
I could see that.
But I don't know. But I would also like to turn that she's a bigger character and she's Mephisto. That'd be great too.
Her name is actually Rio Vidal, but we all know these names don't mean anything in this. This is all mystery box stuff.
But Rio Vidal, I think, was created for the show. But there is actually from like the comics, there's like a male character. I don't know what his real name is, but he's a green wizard. and he goes down the witch's road. So I don't know. There's something there that they're messing with. I just don't know quite what it is yet.
Now you got me like mixing up everybody's names and trying to see if they spell something. I'm like, Rio Duvall, does that spell devil?
Yes. Is that anagram? Does that spell Mephisto?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that with everybody now. A bunch of puzzles written everywhere. So help me out on this. You're going to know more than me on this situation. But after, in the comic books, after Wanda, loses her kids at the hands of Mephisto, stuff like that, they are born into two different families and eventually learn that they're Wanda's kids, correct?
Yeah. So basically, as they get taken away from her, she realizes that I think they were a part of her heart too. Basically, once they disappear, but she's able to kind of do one last spell and get their spirits to still live on. And because of that, they're able to like kind of be reborn. You're right, but I think it's in two different families, although they're biologically attached to her. And then they kind of like rediscover each other and their siblings and then become founding members of Young Avengers. I have to remember the details a little bit better, but I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. Right.
And so now that takes me back to, with all the prep, one more I got to watch is the Doctor Strange 2. And there is that red light at the end. Her last wish could have been there, where she's just like, let my children live, and then they're born into families. And that could be a protection spell on him that's making it to where Agatha can't hear his name because it's a protection spell on her son.
Clip that. That's fire. I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. Yeah. Dude, yeah. What if that was her last spell, just trying to make sure that her kids can live on? Like, obviously, Vision had its time. And also, she saw White Vision, so she knows he's okay in a sense. Now, yeah. If I'm going to be gone, let my kids live. Oh my God. I love that. Dude, that's great.
Fingers crossed, guys. I'm so happy to have a new Disney Plus series to dig back into. We had a lot of them before and we're like, oh, this is too much, but now we're back and I'm so excited.
Yeah. But that's a great theory. And the way these things are connecting, it's weird. I would not think that Agatha would be the step into really diving deep into the magic side of Marvel again. But it seems like it's going to be connecting a lot of different projects. We know Mephisto's coming in Ironheart. He's been cast. We know it's Sacha Baron Cohen. Like, for sure he's there, but also kind of tying it back into the dark magic. And then also some other maybe monsters and creatures we've seen in some of these special presentations, like Man-Thing, like Werewolf by Night, tapping into Moon Knight. We heard Blade's voice. Like, there's so many different ways they can take this dark spirit world and kind of like let Agatha be the lead into all those things. It's great. It's great.
What if we get because one of the biggest things we're dealing with the MCU as a broad thing is we don't have the Thanos lead up because of what happened with Jonathan Majors. So we're kind of doing this Doom thing, which is very cool, but ham-fisted either way, whether way you like it or not. What if they're kind of setting up Sasha as the next big bad down the road, and maybe we lead to a Midnight Suns version of an Avengers style movie?
Stop it. That is just making me too excited. I don't need to be that excited at this early in the morning.
Could you see Agatha in Midnight Suns?
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see her tying in. Yeah, I think so. I mean, at least her influence or her popping up at some point for a cameo that explains how some things happen with Midnight Suns, for sure. We already talked about in WandaVision how in the comics, Agatha is introduced with the Fantastic Four as Franklin and and Valeria's nanny, basically. So there's ties to that. Also, I just feel like this is such a gateway to the multiverse too. Like, Man-Thing in the comics, he's the guardian of a nexus point, and we kind of saw that in Multiverse of Madness. But her summoning this door to the Witch's Road feels very much like a Kamar-Taj or what's the one in Shang-Chi? Like that place as well.
Dimension type of thing where they kind of like are safe on the side. Yeah.
Exactly. But also they kind of funnel into this way that works with the multiverse too, right? Yeah, as these nexus points. And I feel like this is very much one of those things too. So yeah, there's a lot they can do with this.
Just to add to that too, Moon Knight and all the afterlives is also kind of pocket dimensions as well. So
yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Freaking, what was it? Marvel or Kevin Feige? Somebody posted on Instagram like, raise your brightness to see this thing. And it was just a picture of the moon. And then you raise your brightness and something to do with Agatha. But all the comments are like, you bastard. We're all waiting for Moon Knight 2. And you post that nonsense. So real tease. And it sounds like, I think Kevin Feige heard that loud and clear. Like, we need to get a Moon Knight 2. Because that hero especially is very, very cool character. And they're doing a lot with him in the comic books right now. So they're setting him up for something.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then you have Oscar Isaac, who's just killing it everywhere. Like,
Absolutely.
say what you want about Marvel, but it's still attracting top tier talent in Hollywood. And yeah, and I think this show is also showing it. We have the rest of the cast, and I don't know if you have it pulled up in front of you, but we have Deborah Jo Rupp, who kind of becomes like the last member. But there's a few other people that come in and they just add the different coven elements, and they all have their own specialties. I love it. It's like an Ocean's 11, but for like witches. And yeah, I don't know. I'll let you take it away on like some of the other casts and what their roles were.
Yeah, so Deborah Jo Rupp, one thing I like about her is, there was just a black heart on the list of people. And so it's a reference to WandaVision, where it was just a black heart on the calendar. And that's where the hearts were coming over for dinner. And, yeah, she's playing Mrs. Hart.
Dude, I don't know why nobody's saying this, but I swear Rio says at one point, Agatha says to her when they're fighting, "You don't have a heart." And she says, "Yes, I do. It's black."
Yeah.
I don't know why nobody else is talking about that. It obviously is a reference to Rio, but I haven't seen anybody else say that.
Yeah.
Do you think the same thing, or am I just making connections where there isn't one?
I mean, I think it was just a throwaway line, but it could lead to something. Everything could lead to something.
But I mean, it didn't have Rio's name on there. It obviously didn't have Deborah Jo Rupp's name on there, even though her last name was Hart from WandaVision and is, I guess. But the fact that Rio says, "I have a black heart," and then the last person in the coven is just a symbol of a black heart, I feel like it's obviously her.
I thought it was obviously. I thought it was so obvious that I didn't think it was a big deal. Like, not to be, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh yeah, no clue. Yeah.
No. Other people have been saying like, it's definitely Deborah, or it's, I don't know. Like, so many people have said other things, but not that it's Rio. I don't know. I just feel like we had to throw that out there because I haven't seen it put out there anywhere else. We should tweet that before somebody else steals
Let's do that. Yeah, and also I just want to throw out there, Deborah's only on the call sheet for 2 episodes, while everybody else is for 8 and 9. So I don't know how long she's around. Just a heads up on that.
I mean, then, spoiler alert.
Well, I mean, presuming she's going to be in the next episode, which would make 3 and break that right off. So, she's at least going to show up to die in the 3rd episode. So right away, you're wrong there. We have Patti LuPone, just being Patti LuPone. And it's funny because as you know, I'm rewatching 30 Rock again, and she's in there quite a bit. But she's playing Lilia, who is this future teller. And I like how it's like, yeah, the scam keeps the doors open. But then, like, yes, I'm actually a very good witch, 400 plus years old. And it feels like the kind of witch you would expect from like modern day storytelling, Yeah,
she's great because I love how it seems like she's a gimmick, and then all of a sudden really gets into like, no, I know who you really are, and I actually have real powers. That was like a great scene, and also how she kind of like spazzes out, and I don't know, maybe she's seeing visions from the future or something, but she's awesome. Like, obviously she's a talented Broadway actress, but yeah, I'm like, man, she adds like a real witch feel to it. It's great.
The fact that she could see the future and put that black heart there means that no matter what, whoever the black heart is going to be is in the future. That's just there. So I think that's proof. And we all know, like, Aubrey's on the road due to all the trailers. We know that much. So I think,
Yeah.
We have Alice, played by Ali On. Her mom is a musician, or like a popular rock star, whatever, that does the ballad of the Witch's Road, but it's like a rock version, and is apparently lost on the road. Do you think Alice or Alice's mom is going to be a major character?
I think she's going to pop up, and maybe she has ties to the comics, but the fact that, somebody has ties to the Witch's Road that isn't the same, like, her motivation isn't, I want to get my power back, or I want to be the ultimate witch. Hers is like to find family, in a sense, is like a cool motivation for a character. I don't know. I love that. She's kind of also a generational witch. She's like a second gen, her mom was, by all accounts, pretty talented and used the chant, the song to become a big pop star and then disappeared. It's just, I don't know. It's just a cool backstory, I think, for that character.
It reminds me so much of What We Do in the Shadows. There's like celebrities within the vampire community for them. Like, And this is like it's like
Nick Kroll.
Right. Exactly. So like her mom is like a rock star, just for witches, though. So it kind of reminds me of that. Like, oh, yeah, they know who she is. Then we have Sashir Zamata, fantastic old SNL alum in this. She's playing Jennifer Kale. And if we're talking about what will happen to each of these characters, I think Sashir will end up being finding her purpose. I think that's one of the things she's missing as just a person who sells potions, essentially. She doesn't have a purpose. She's just kind of a con artist. And so I think she'll actually find a way to really heal people, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. And Yeah, I didn't remember her a lot from SNL, but I mean, I feel like just from this one episode, I don't feel like they used her well enough because her attitude, her little like sass about everything, and just the way she's confident. But yeah, you're right. Like it seems like she's a little purposeless is awesome, but she's funny. Like her banter back and forth with Joe Locke is great too. The way she shuts him down, the way like Agatha has to kind of appeal to her, even though probably in a different situation, Agatha would be the more powerful witch. It's just great. Like she just brings like so much spice to this. I dig her character.
She was one of the anchors for SNL from I think like 2009 to 2015 area. So
really, she was on that long.
She was one of the major during the. I could go in SNL forever. Actually, I'm just gonna start throwing out cast names, but like the Bobby Moynihan era, she was in there.
Yeah, Bobby Moynihan.
I know. Let's talk about a legend. And then of course we have Joe Locke, which we talked about already. What we think is gonna be Billy, or somebody of import, obviously. And I'm looking forward to seeing if everybody else on the Witches Road will learn who Billy is or Joe Locke is before Agatha, and that becomes a problem too. I'd like to see if they learn who he is, can learn his name, and then tries to say it, and then the M goes over their name. That would be cool.
Right.
Over their mouth, I mean.
Ooh, that'd be interesting too. Yeah, I would dig that. I also just want to call out this moment because I just thought it was really funny when he's like, after they've assembled the coven, or at least picked out all the different people, and they're going to set the party, he does that whole like "Welcome home, coven" thing. Yeah. It has the pentagram in the O, which is just ridiculous. And then she's just like, "Oh yeah, I love it. We should train it." Rips it down, and he's just like, "Okay, cool, whatever." He's just so like positive and happy, but still gives the witch vibe. It's if he has to be Billy, just make him Billy because I'd be so stoked about it. And I just I want to see his banter with Haley Steinfeld, with Florence Pugh, with the Patriot, just all these other young Avengers we've seen pop up. Be great.
Definitely going to be the heart of the series. I think it already feels like that. Honestly,
dude, him and Miss Marvel. Like, think about how fun those conversations are going to be.
God, I love her. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Amon is amazing for sure.
We have a couple of things I want to call out. Music's going to be really important. You can tell already. Again, we had the humming of the Witches Road in the beginning, and then repeated at the very end.
Let's talk about the song. Like, did you like it? Did you not? At first, it was not something I was digging, and then as it went on, and the way they set up that scene, I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of a banger." I kind of like this.
Yeah. So I've listened to it a few times since, as right before we recorded, just because I'm trying to hear if like there's a hint in there at all. And what it is in the beginning, it's very much just them singing it, which is again very much like this feels like cheap theater. But then the music kicks in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is building, which kind of makes sense. It's like the spell is building, and then that's when it becomes a banger. And so it's like, I want the rock remix of this that the mom eventually, had made or whatever. I hope they release that version because this could be awesome.
Yeah. Dude, I bet they do that. I bet you're right. When she finds her mom and then all of a sudden they're going to play her version of it, I could definitely see that happen. Nice. Good call out. Because that's the thing that WandaVision did too. And even this show's done. Like they did a version of it in the first episode that was sung by a man that was very much like old bluesy rock.
Yeah.
Remember? And then now you jump into the second episode and it's more of like the actual Agatha theme song. So totally. Yeah. I can see
I'm hoping it'll be a 70s rock because they released these character posters I thought was very interesting that I thought was kind of giving a hint to everybody on how they're going to be played. And for the one of Alice, it was a 70s like Woodstock band poster. So I would presume that the mom's song is probably 70s rock and roll, which is like Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, stuff I grew up on. And I would be all for that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally. I'm trying to like look through some of those posters because there's one with let's see, Aubrey Plaza too, where she's kind of sitting in this chair and it's very like old school horror. She's got the high like white socks that's all crinkled up.
The key to that one is she's the one administering the horror though. You notice in that poster, like there's the screens behind her, whatever. She's actually the one that's doing the horror in that one. She's not the victim of it.
That's true. I mean, her face does it, but there also looks like there's like a ghost outside the window. But maybe she's the one that put them there.
Who is the ghost is what I want, right? There's so many questions in those posters. Yeah. And then I remember, I don't have them in front of me, but Sashir's poster is her with a halo around her. And like she's a doctor or like she's a healer. And that halo around her with the lighting, I'm like, that's angelic. So there's something there too, I think. Yeah.
But it's in a morgue too, which is interesting. That adds like a whole nother element, and she looks very much like, what's going on?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cool. And then what I'm forgetting, Alice. Yeah, Alice Wu. She's very 70s and everything too. Man, this is cool. I think there are so many touches of this as they're jumping through different genres and everything that's very reminiscent of WandaVision, but different. And I appreciate that they brought back Jack Schaefer, who wrote all of the show for, or at least was like the kind of showrunner in a sense for WandaVision.
Mhm.
And they brought her back, and now she's directing this. And I can
cool.
feel the consistency between this show and WandaVision too. So yeah.
I believe the most important poster, though, let's just throw that out there real quick, is Joe Locke's poster, which makes him look like one of those teen slasher films. And the bad guy in the back, right? But the bad guy in the back of the poster is Agatha. Like the killer of that poster is Agatha, showing that Agatha is wanting, right? Like it is the danger to Joe Locke. Which was going back to my Scarlet Witch thing, that maybe she put a protection over her son.
Maybe, yeah. It looks like it. Yeah, I'm a little on the fence if it's Agatha or not, but I agree with you. It's weird that it says 03 in there too. I wonder what the significance of that, because we know Marvel does all the numbers and they have a meaning, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Joe Locke, what a fantastic casting choice.
Surprisingly, how much he's just flying in this. He's doing really good. I want to return to the music real quick. So when Agatha starts to derobe and like go through the layers and becomes Agatha, there's a low cello music playing. And if you pay attention to it, you'll actually notice it's a cello remix of Agatha All Along, the hit song from the WandaVision.
Amazing.
Yes.
Good catch. Yeah.
And then
love when they do that.
Aubrey Plaza steps in, they do the old Marvel drums. Marvel used to do these digital drums a lot when that first Thor movie was coming out. And the second one actually had to do a lot. They use those again for when Aubrey Plaza stepping in and kind of showing Aubrey Plaza as a dark threat. I don't think she actually will be in the long run, just because, well, maybe, who knows. But yeah, I just thought that was very interesting too. It's like, okay, they're musically setting her up to be the bad guy. But I think Agatha
good catch on the score. I think when you think Halloween too, there's these certain themes, and in the end credits, we get these very like witchy vibes. Obviously, you're seeing all these different references through witches throughout history, all the way up to like not Maggie Simpson. What's her name? Lisa Simpson. You get that little Lisa Simpson. Yeah. So I just love all those different references, but like the score is really setting the tone for the show. And again, as they're doing the chant, they're doing, the song for the Witches Road. We also see those 7 witches, or I guess spirits from the past that are coming to, I don't know, get Agatha for, I don't know, her stealing her powers or her past wrongs or something. But that scene is really creepy, and Joe Locke balances it out by being scared, and also the music also fits in that moment. So you're getting them trying to chant to channel the door, but also like him being freaked out from these like monsters that keep coming up is really cool scene, at the end of episode 2. Yeah. But I think the score plays a huge part in that.
I believe that's the Salem 6 or the Salem 7.
That's right. Yeah, Salem 7. Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
Which also has a tie to the comics, but it seems like they're doing it a very different way. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're the 7 witches that Agatha killed in like her original coven.
I could see that. It led by her mom, actually. Yeah.
Right. But they're creepy. They did a good job of like making those things.
There are multiple times where I'm like, this is really mature for Disney Plus. Like the dead body scenes, like they actually showed the dead body. You see Kathryn Hahn's ass when she's running back to her house. And I'm like, this is more Disney. This is more than Disney Plus normally does. So again, if we're looking at Daredevil, that's a good sign for Daredevil. Then
definitely is.
I want to give a shout out to the crow, the crow, the rat, and the wolf that apparently are spying on her.
Good catch.
What do you think is spying through the eyes of these creatures?
So I have heard some theories. Like I can't say that I came up with this, but that the Salem 7 from the comics have ties to different animals or spirits, I guess. And it could be their kind of, it's not familiar, but there's like kind of totems that they send out to kind of look at their targets or spy on their targets. And each animal is kind of tied to a different Salem 7. Mm-hmm. So I've heard that theory. I'm kind of aligned in with that, but you hear about black cats and crows and all that stuff when it comes to witchcraft. So I don't know if there's a deeper meaning there, but I don't know. I guess that's kind of my best guess. What about you?
We know, presumably, we know. Aubrey Plaza is the Earth Witch. And so I'm assuming Earth magic probably has something to do with the wildlife as well. So there's something there too, maybe?
Do you think it's a cicada from WandaVision? Remember, like everybody was stuck on that like, little cicada that was on the drapes,
You're
on the curtains on the
right.
wall. And everyone's like, "What is this
Oh,
cicada? Is that a Mephisto thing?" And then we never got any answers.
that would
So
be cool.
maybe she's the cicada. I don't know.
That would be very, very cool. The other thing
Mhm.
too is the bell that Agatha rung in the beginning of the Witches Road song has devils all the way around the outside of it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, another Mephisto.
Oh, nice. Good cat, man. You got the details on lock on this episode. I just was trying to just have fun and see if there was connection to WandaVisions, but great catch on the details.
I was writing notes and enjoying at the same time. It was a blast.
Talent, people.
Practice. I've truly enjoyed this intro to the series, and I did not think I would like it this much, and I didn't think I would be like, I can't wait for the next episode. And I think if we look back at the other shows that we often reference, Secret Invasion, Acolyte, there was a little bit of that missing where I wasn't as excited for the next episode as much as I am about this one already, which reminds
Right.
me much more of Ahsoka and things like that we cover. So I think that might be like if you seek your feelings, that might be a good sign for how the show will end up.
Yeah, agreed. I love shows too where I'm not like questioning every little plot point.
Mhm.
I'm not in this. I'm just like so ready to go on this ride, and it's been a fun ride. Like to your point earlier, some people saying maybe it's speeding through things. Like I love the pace because it's keeping me interested. I'm constantly wondering. I'm trying to figure out what the next connection to new Marvel things there are, but also like we don't even know everything that's going on with the characters that we just met. So like
Right.
the fact that they're interesting, their motivations are interesting. It's like it's just a really fun show, and I feel like that's the word I keep coming back to. Like I had a ton of fun with these first two episodes, and
Yeah.
I'm so ready for episode 3.
I think we might have an element of Lost where they like start with everybody in a group, and then as we adventure through this road, we're going to learn the backstories of each of the characters. Probably, I could see that happening. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And they picked really strong actors to kind of fill these different roles, even if they're side characters.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it's been good.
Let's give this thing a grade. I want to give it a strong 4 out of 5 myself.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm there. And it's almost not fair because I've given some other things 4s, but like,
Yeah.
I guess this would be on the lower end of a 4, but still, it was so much fun. And I could see just from these first 2 episodes, we got to see how it ends. But if I had to base the whole season off the first 2 episodes, I could see me putting this on every Halloween for
Yeah.
forever. It sets the tone so well.
I was already thinking too, like I can't wait to watch Wolf by Midnight again. Or Wolf by Midnight, I think I said. Oh boy, I think I said that wrong. But anyways,
Yeah.
I
Wolf by
hadn't
Night.
watched. There we go. Well, yeah. So I do want to see that again because I remember it being like artistically beautiful and a solid story, short. So yeah, this could be one of my new Halloween traditions is watching this movie as well.
Yeah. Man, if they tie things back into Werewolf by Night, which was so underrated, I don't know how many people watched it, but man, I can't wait to see that character and Man-Thing brought into the whole Marvel universe and interact with more characters because there's a ride that's popping up in Disney and they have all these different characters, right? And Man-Thing is in there and Werewolf by Night is in there with the rest of the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy and all those different characters. So, man, there's a lot they could do on the dark side of Marvel, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it's about that time too. We've got the cosmic side on lock. Let's get that side. I think it'll be cool. All right, guys, let us know what you guys thought about Agatha All Along, episode 1 and 2. Let us know on all our social medias, threads, and alike. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Aloha.